Universal Basic Income. Let's talk about it. A Universal Basic Income, UBI, is an unconditional cash payment given at regular intervals by the government to all residents regardless of their earnings or employment status. Pilot UBI programs have taken place or are going in the US, Brazil, Canada, Finland, and other parts of the world. So let's talk about what proponents and opponents say about UBI in the US. Proponents say that universal basic income reduces poverty and income inequality and improves health. In 1981, Alaska was ranked 30 out of 50 states on income inequality. By 2015, the state had jumped to number 2. Alaska's improvement in income equality is largely contributed to the implementation of its UBI program starting in 1976, the Alaska Permanent Fund. Namibia's UBI program, the Basic Income Grant, reduced household poverty rates from 76% of residents before the trial started to 37% after 1 year. Child malnutrition rates fell almost 42% to 17% in 6 months. Kenya's ongoing UBI trial has reportedly led to increased happiness and life satisfaction and to reduce stress and depression. Participants in India's UBI trial in 2014 said that the UBIs helped improve their health by enabling them to afford medicine, improve sanitation, gain access to clean water, eat more regularly, and reduce their anxiety levels. Mincome, a trial UBI in Manitoba, Canada in the mid-1970s, found that hospitalizations for accidents, injuries, and mental health diagnoses declined during the trial. On the other side, UBI takes money from the poor and gives it to everyone else, increasing poverty and depriving the poor of needed targeted support. Poor people face a variety of hardships that are addressed with existing anti-poverty measures such as food stamps, medical aid, and child assistance programs. UBI programs often use funds targeting the poor for distribution to everyone in society. If you take the dollars targeted on people in the bottom fifth or 2/5 of the population and convert them to universal payments to people all the way up the income scale, you're redistributing income upward. That would increase poverty and inequality rather than reduce them. A study in the UK created 3 models for implementation of UBI and concluded that all 3 would lead to significant numbers of individuals and households who are worse off, noting that these losses are not concentrated among rich groups. On the contrary, they are proportionally larger for the bottom 3 income quantiles. Research by the OECD in Finland, France, Italy, and the UK concluded that rather than reducing the overall headcount of those in poverty, a basic income would change the composition of the income-poor population and thus would not prove to be an effective tool for reducing poverty. The UBIs are less cost-effective than targeted welfare programs because many people lack more than just cash. UBI does not cure addiction, poor health, lack of skills, or other factors that contribute to poverty. But proponents point to that UBI leads to positive job growth and lower school dropout rates. The guarantee of UBI protects people from sluggish wage growth, low wages, and the lack of job security caused by the effects of the growing gig economy, such as Uber, Lyft drivers, short-term contracts, and increased automation in the workplace. UBI also improves people to stay in school longer and participate in training to improve skills or learn a trade. Researchers from the Roosevelt Institute created 3 models for US implementation of the UBI and found that under all scenarios, UBI would grow the economy, increase output, employment, prices, and wages. Since implementation of the Alaska Permanent Fund, the increased purchasing power of UBI recipients has resulted in 10,000 additional jobs for the state. Uganda's UBI trial, the Youth Opportunities Program, enabled participants to invest in skill training as well as tools and material, resulting in an increase of business assets by 57%, work hours by 17%, and earnings by 38%. The Canadian mid-income trial in the 1970s found that participants of the trial were more likely to complete high school than counterparts not involved in the trial. The Basic Income Grant trial in Namibia enabled parents to afford school fees, buy school uniforms, and encourage attendance. As a result, school dropout rates fell from almost 40% in 2007 to 5% in 2008 to almost 0% by the end of 2008. But opponents say that UBI removes the incentive to work, adversely affecting the economy and leading to a labor and skills shortage. Earned income motivates people to work, to be successful, to cooperate with colleagues, and to gain skills. However, if we pay people unconditionally to do nothing, they will do nothing, and this leads to a less effective economy. A strong economy relies on people being motivated to work hard, and in order to motivate people, there needs to be an element of uncertainty for the future. UBI providing guaranteed security removes this uncertainty. A UBI would cause people to abjure work for a life of idle fun, and depress the willingness to produce and pay taxes of those who resent having to support them. In 2016, the Swiss government opposed implementation of the UBI, stating that it would entice fewer people to work and thus exacerbate the current labor and skills shortage. Guaranteed income trials in the US in the 1960s and 70s found that the people that received payments worked fewer hours. Proponents say that UBI guarantees income for non-working parents and caregivers, thus empowering important unpaid roles, especially for women. UBI makes all forms of work, including childcare and elder care, equally deserving of payment. A UBI allows working parents to reduce their working hours in order to spend more time with their children or help with household chores. Reviewing the UBI trial in India, women empowerment was one of the most important outcomes of this experiment. Noting that women received the UBI participated more in household decision-making and benefited from improved access to food, healthcare, and education. Namibia's UBI trial found that UBI reduced the dependency of women on men for their survival and reduced the pressure to engage in transactional sex. Mid-income, the Canadian UBI trial in the mid-1970s found that emergency room visits as a result of domestic violence reduced during the period of the trial. And finally, opponents say that UBI is just too expensive. A UBI trial in Oakland, California provided individual participants with $1,000 to $2,000 per month. A $2,000 per month per head of household UBI would cost an estimated $2.275 trillion per year. Some of these costs could be offset by eliminating federal, state, and local assistance programs. However, these offsets total only $810 billion, leaving a net budgetary cost of over $1.4 trillion for a universal basic income program. The UBI trial in Finland provided participants with $673 a month for 2 years. They found that Finland's UBI model is impossibly expensive since it would increase the government deficit by about 5% of GDP. In 2016 in the UK, they rejected the idea of UBI, saying that the estimated implementation costs ranging from 8.2 billion to 160 billion pounds are clearly unaffordable. A University of Oxford study proposed UBI levels in Finland, France, Germany, Switzerland, the UK, and the US, and concluded that in all of those countries, UBI at a level which can guarantee an acceptable standard of living is impossibly expensive. Either the level of basic income is unacceptably low, or the cost of providing it is unacceptably high. So what are your thoughts? Would you want UBI in the US? If you like this video, hit that like button, consider subscribing. I talk about money and everything related to it, so don't miss out. And as always, take care of your money.